Inspiring children to learn more about science, technology, engineering, and math, or STEM, can help put them on the road to academic and professional success. And experts say that learning takes off when the arts are added to that mix. STEAM is an educational approach that adds the arts into the more familiar science, technology, engineering, mathematics that make up the STEM model. STEAM programs may include any of the performing language or visual arts like dance, drama, painting, design, photography, and writing. And with me now to talk more about the benefits of STEAM education are Anike Sakariyawo and Sanaa Baker. Yes, I got that right.
You sure
I feel
did.
good. I got the names down.
Listening.
And Sanaa, she's a 10th grade Honeyshine student. And welcome to the show this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. So before we start with you and we talk about Honeyshine and everything else, and we get to that, let's go ahead and talk about the program first. STEAM, okay, because we're so used to hearing about STEM, but you're talking about including the arts. Why? Why?
Because when you think about STEM, just the engineering piece alone, you do a lot of prototyping, you're sketching, so that's, to me, is part of the arts. And when you think about art is pretty much similar to engineer design, because you start off with thinking about a problem, how you're going to fix it. And usually people, when they're painting and they're writing, they're usually thinking about a different plot, a climax. So some of those same terminologies are intertwined with the part of engineering. And then you can incorporate the technology, so why not include the art, because science is an art.
But there's a need there for minorities to be involved in STEM or STEAM in general, period.
Yes, it is. It's definitely a need there. And if you look at some of the data based on minorities being involved in STEM and or STEAM, the numbers are pretty low.
They are.
Yeah.
And why? Why do you think so?
I think because of exposure and lack of resources. A lot of times, just as my experience as a teacher, teaching high school kids, if they're asked what they want to be when they grow up, sometimes they do know, most of the times they don't. And I think that has a lot to do with exposure and resources.
And very true. And you know, you partner with several organizations that learn a little bit more about STEAM. And one of those organizations happens to be Honeyshine, which is a great organization.
Yes, I love
and all they
Honeyshine.
do with the community, we know all about the Morning Foundation and what they do. So, and with us, we have a very bright and intelligent 10th grader, because when you hear her speak, you're going to understand why. So, Sanaa, how long were you involved in this particular program where you learned a little bit more about STEM?
I've been with Honeyshine for 3 years, since I was going into 8th grade, and it was over the summers only. And then when I was going into 9th grade, I had joined the after-school programs, but I've really started going this year.
Because we're talking off camera, you're telling me some things you did, and I don't even know how to do. So you're talking about coding. What else did you learn?
Well, we did learn to code the mini spheros via an app, and we would figure out which way we would go. We also learned to fly drones, and it was a lot of trial and error with that. Sometimes, you know, the fans on the drones, they wouldn't be working. We'd have to find another one. The batteries wouldn't be charged. And also we did egg incubation. So some of us would build the egg incubators. And one time we also planned out an idea for a delivery drone, and we had to do a bunch of research to figure out what the payload would be, how heavy it would be, what kind of blades we would need, and all of that.
Now, you see, you're already talking over my head right now. I mean, you're going deep here, because you're talking that STEM talk, that STEAM talk. Did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy it? Especially, well, you're in the 10th grade, man. You're supposed to be playing video games and stuff like that. You're not supposed to be learning this stuff, and yet you are learning this stuff. Did you find it interesting?
Of course.
What?
It's a very interesting topic. It's a lot of just like trial and error. That's one of the most interesting parts to me, because life is a lot of trial and error. So then you get to experience life through the window of technology.
Okay, I told you, this is she is bright. I told you, don't mess with her, she's bright. Okay, so is this something that is this a field that you're gonna go into, because you told me off camera you're thinking about something else now?
It was a possible choice for me at the time, but I did decide on to go into sociology, because I wanted to travel with the job that I did, and I started looking at jobs I could travel with, and then I would see the list of stuff and then research what would go into it, and I found out sociology, and I was like, I've never heard of that before. What is it? Why is it there? And then I looked it up and then found out that it was people who study society and what the world is and how the world works. And I found that very interesting because I've always wondered why things are the way they are, and I've had a bunch of questions.
This is unbelievable here. I just love that. I love hearing about that because honestly, that is what you're supposed to do when you're in high school and you're freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. But sometimes we just end up doing our own thing. So I'm very impressed by that. We're going to get back to you in just a moment. But when you hear that, Anike, when you hear, first of all, we know that Sanaa is very special. We could just tell just by listening to her speak and everything else. But her joy, and she was talking about the coding, she was talking about some of the things that I didn't even understand, but that shows that she's getting something out of it.
Right. And so that experience, it just makes me so happy because my purpose is to make sure that kids are exposed to things that they probably won't be exposed to in school. And this is just coming from a teacher perspective. Everything that we do, we look at the standards from the next generation of science standards.
Yes.
And then I'll look online and find something. I say, you know what, this may be cool. Let me order eggs, quail eggs in an incubator and see if I can hatch these eggs at home, and I did.
And you did.
So that taught me that if you do this with children, they can see that they can produce a farm, a forest, a food forest. If they don't have food, they can produce a farm at their home. They don't actually need to be on a farm to have one.
And a 2019 survey asked 3,000 educators out there about STEAM. Now, the majority feel that STEAM in elementary classrooms is growing. 75% of STEAM educators regularly collaborate with business or industry partners, with many having guest speakers about STEAM careers in their schools right there. About a quarter of respondents see virtual reality and coding as areas where they see the most promise for student instruction. I'm going to leave Sanaa with the last word here. What do you have to say to everyone out there, especially maybe teenagers out there that may be thinking about STEAM or STEM? Is it boring?
Of course not. It's not boring. It's definitely something you should research and look at and just think about a bit more, because I never knew what I wanted to do until I started looking up like what I wanted to do with life, and then finding a way to do that through a job and finding a window. It's just you find something that you're interested in, and then you find a window, an outlet to do it with, and you should be fine.
Thank you so much. Very well said. You sure you're not running for president one day? Oh my goodness. Anike, Sanaa, thank you guys for joining me this morning. And for more information on S.E.E.K, check the website at seekedu.org or call 305-639-0142.